All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We are exploring a fascinating and frankly kind of forgotten curriculum today. Think about it for a second. When was the last time you actually saw a kid count out change without staring at a calculator app on their phone, or intuitively understand the difference between gross revenue and net profit just from working a simple weekend gig? Today, we're going to dig into how early work in the 1950s shaped an entire generation's financial survival skills, and why that crucial muscle memory is practically invisible in our modern world.
This brilliant quote perfectly captures the hook for our deep dive today. Teach a child to earn before they turn 12, and you have given them something no inheritance can match. It's so true, right? True wealth isn't just an inherited lump sum of capital that someone can easily squander in a couple of years. It's the ingrained, unshakable capability to understand, navigate, and actually create value. Back in the 1950s, financial literacy wasn't some dry seminar you took in your 20s. It was a series of hard-earned muscle memories built through grit, nickels, and the neighborhood sidewalk.
Section 1. The Art of Earning. The 20 Ways 1950s Children Learned Money. Let's see exactly how they did it. To truly understand this lost curriculum, we need to rapidly break down the 20 distinct ways these kids engage with the economy. We'll start with the grit economy, pure manual labor. This is where they learn the uncompromising friction of cash flow. Number 1, paper routes. This taught accounts receivable. Literally, if a customer didn't pay you, you took the hit. Number 2, returning heavy glass bottle deposits. This introduced micro-arbitrage, turning discarded junk into actual capital. Number 3, collecting scrap metal, which gave kids a very early, very real taste of commodity market fluctuations. Number 4 was lawn mowing, where savvy kids learned how to build monthly subscription revenue. Number 5, washing cars, which was a masterclass in value-added upselling. Number 6, collecting old newspapers proved that when you have tiny margins, you need huge volume to make any profit. And number 7, shining shoes. This was all about presentation and customer retention. You had to do a good job if you wanted them to come back next week. Moving right along to the service and sales side, the hustle. Number 8, lemonade stands. These were basically miniature MBAs in overhead costs, supply chains, and profit margins. Number 9, babysitting introduced teenagers to opportunity cost. Making that tough choice between earning 50 cents or spending 40 cents at the movies, all while learning about liability and trust. Number 10, running errands for neighbors. This proved that reliability is a currency all its own. Number 11, selling homemade crafts meant kids were literally monetizing their personal creativity. Number 12, selling seeds and plants taught scaling and patience. Number 13, selling magazines door to door. That is where you learned the grueling, numbers-driven math of a sales funnel. Number 14, selling baked goods showed that quality control directly dictates your pricing power. And number 15, selling movie popcorn outside theaters. What a great lesson in undercutting competitors who have higher overhead. Rounding out our 20 ways, we get into assets, systems, and trust. Number 16, collecting comic books. This taught kids about rarity and scarcity. Number 17, trading baseball cards. This was essentially a playground derivatives market, teaching liquidity and exchange rates. Number 18, helping on family farms connected biology directly to economics, providing crucial, hands-on lessons in yield and resilience. Number 19, working in family businesses offered a ground-up apprenticeship in profit margins and inventory turnover. And finally, number 20, savings and investing. Kids physically took their hard-earned cash to the bank to get a stamped passbook. They watched compound interest grow right in front of their eyes, printed out on paper.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. Kids in the 1950s didn't just learn financial theory sitting at a desk looking at a whiteboard. They developed what we call procedural financial competence. This is the actual muscle memory of earning, spending, saving, and negotiating. And it was built through real-world friction. When you miscalculate your change, you feel it immediately. When you underprice your labor, you end up working much longer for way less money. They interacted with the physical friction of money every single day, and that consequence was their best teacher. Now, if that generation was so incredibly financially savvy, we have to stop and ask the critical question: what changed? How did the grandchildren of these incredibly resourceful, gritty kids end up drowning in unprecedented levels of consumer debt, massive student loans, and constant financial anxiety?
Section 2. The 1970s Educational Calamity, the Removal of Consequence. Let's look at the pattern break. The answer to what changed lies in a massive, systemic pattern break that swept through American schools during the 1970s. As the cultural push for purely college prep academics took over, we systematically removed practical, friction-based education.
The first major shift was the dismantling of shop class, largely driven by school board liability fears. Now, when schools removed woodworking, metalworking, and auto mechanics, they didn't just stop teaching a trade. It goes way deeper than that. They removed the tangible lesson that raw materials have inherent value. Think about it. If you measure a piece of wood incorrectly and make the wrong cut, that wood is ruined. You can't hit undo. By removing this undeniable physical cost of a mistake, we obscured the cost of poor planning. And as a side effect, we inadvertently triggered the massive skilled labor shortage that we're still dealing with today.
But it didn't stop there. The second calamity was replacing double-entry bookkeeping with what they started calling consumer math, or generic financial literacy. Now, consumer math taught students how to write a check or maybe how to calculate a restaurant tip. Very abstract stuff. But bookkeeping taught how money actually flows through a system. It taught debits on the left, credits on the right, and the fundamental unbending equation that assets equal liabilities plus equity. By losing bookkeeping from the curriculum, students utterly lost the ability to understand systemic leverage and personal balance sheets. They were flying blind. A generation of debt, the era of abstraction. By removing this highly practical curriculum right around the exact same time credit cards were becoming mainstream in the 1970s and 80s, we ushered in a dangerous new era. Money shifted from a tangible tool you had to actively manage to this weird, frictionless mystery that you just outsourced to plastic cards and digital screens.
And the result is staggering. We are now looking at a $17.5 trillion household debt crisis in the US alone. $17.5 trillion. Because money has become just a frictionless number on a screen, totally devoid of any physical pain when it's spent, the psychological barrier to going into debt has completely vanished. You swipe a card, you tap a phone, boom. You never actually feel the $50 leave your hand. It's too easy. The correlation here is just impossible to ignore when we look at the data. We see a shift from a solid 10 to 12% average savings rate in the 50s and 60s, crashing down to roughly 4% today. Household credit card debt jumped from virtually zero, it was incredibly rare back then, to over $7,500 per household today. Student loans have ballooned $1.7 trillion. And actionable financial literacy, it's plummeted, with only about 24% of people able to pass basic financial literacy tests today. This all directly correlates with our societal shift from experiential, friction-based earning to abstract digital spending. Reclaiming financial common sense, modernizing the 1950s blueprint. Let's talk about how we fix this.
Okay, obviously we don't need to send 10-year-olds into scrap metal yards today or have them waking up at 4 a.m. to throw newspapers in a blizzard. Times have changed, but we absolutely must reclaim the underlying principles of that 1950s blueprint. We have to intentionally reintroduce financial friction into the modern household. Here's exactly what you should take away from this explainer. You can rebuild a child's financial muscle memory with 4 modern steps. Step 1, make money physical again. Give a cash allowance, not a debit card, so they physically feel the money leave their hands. Step 2, reinvent the gig. If they run a modern digital lemonade stand or sell stuff online, make them track their expenses and revenue on a physical paper ledger first. Step 3, bring back the household ledger. Sit down and show kids the family bills so they understand that a streaming subscription equals 3 hours of their babysitting labor. Make that connection real. And step 4, allow small, safe failures. Let them borrow $10 for a project and totally fail, because taking a painful $10 loss at age 11 might just prevent a $10,000 catastrophic loss at age 30. Because ultimately, the ability to navigate risk, to create value, and to deeply understand the ledger, that is an inheritance that can never be overdrawn. An inheritance of capital can be squandered in a year, maybe less, but procedural capability, that lasts a lifetime. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. Knowing what we've lost over the decades, how will you intentionally introduce healthy financial friction into someone's life today?